What's going on, everybody? Off the Top is in the building. I got my boy Bryan in here with me tonight. What's up, Bryan?
What's good? What's good? How y'all doing, man?
All right, y'all make sure y'all check out Bryan at Just Bryan NY on YouTube. And we also got the dubious one, Mr.Dubbs in the building. What's up, Mr.Dubbs?
What's good, everybody? I hope y'all doing well.
All right, so I got the fellas in here with me tonight, but this is the new show, Kenny Dynamite. Every Wednesday-ish, this is the pilot. We'll see how it goes, but I might jump on here and review AEW Dynamite, having random people on. This week I got Bryan and Mr.Dubbs. Next week, I might have you. I don't know. Tap in if you want to join. But what do y'all think about this week's Dynamite? Let's just start off with your basic thoughts. Bryan, if you had to give it a rating on a scale before we break it down.
Yeah. If I had to give it a rating on a scale, I thought it was mid. Yeah, I thought it was about like a 5 out of 10. I thought the segments were good, but I wasn't really too crazy about the matches this week.
Okay. What about you, Mr.Dubbs? What did you think about everything we saw?
I would say we got all the things we've been asking for, but we didn't get them. Like, normally Dynamite's all great matches, but no story. Tonight, I thought we got a lot of movement and story, which I was very happy to see. I liked a lot of the story elements we got. And it's not that we didn't get good matches. I thought there was a couple of really good matches on the show, but overall, it felt like a very mid show. It felt like a really paint-by-numbers show, but I definitely have to give them props because we always give Tony Khan so much guff for just not focusing on story and not developing storylines. I think we've gotten some great movement in directions where, as far as I know, we'll get into it, but I mean, just who's behind the mask, right? I'm way more interested in it after this week's show than I was last week. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree. So both of y'all Bryan, you said 5 out of 10. I would actually go about a 7 out of 10 on this one because I'm not necessarily, everybody loves a good match, but I'm more a story guy. And I like that they were telling a lot of stories tonight, like that Swerve and MJF, which we'll get to. I thought that was a very important piece to everything that they have been telling with this Masked Man story. So let's jump right into it. So we started off the show with Swerve, Strickland, and Roosh. What do you think about Roosh's run right now in AEW, Mr.Dubbs?
Sorry, who's run? Swerve?
Roosh.
Roosh, I think, has been handled better since coming back. I liked the stuff they were doing with Los Ingobernables. I liked when they were doing the little cameos and stuff with them, with Preston Vance and everything. I get that this tournament is very focused on the one-on-one. You're not getting all the side stuff. I don't know how Roosh has been handled in this tournament. I think he had a good showing in the tournament. He's a great wrestler, and they've showcased that.
Yeah.
I would like to see more of the promo segments and the backstage segments because I liked what they were doing pre-tournament, reintroducing him, and I think he has the potential to be a really big Latin American star for them. I think he's got the look. He's a great wrestler, and I enjoyed like the promo stuff in just the segments they were doing with them as a whole. And even if you have to translate some of it, I mean, as we've seen in WWE with Shinsuke and what they're doing with him, it's okay to have subtitles. That's all right.
Yeah.
And like, it's all the intonations. And if they're better at speaking in their native tongue, and if they're able to cut a more impassioned promo, let them do it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I definitely think Roosh he's been growing on me a lot more than he did, say, a year ago.
Right. You familiar with Roosh, Bryan?
Not too much. I know who he is. Yeah, I know who he is, but I wasn't familiar with him before AEW, and it's not somebody that I look forward to watching. As bad as that sounds, so I'm not really
I get it.
Yeah, I'm not really updated with him, but I hope he is having a good run.
Yeah, apparently he signed a pretty big contract, I think, for a long time. So hopefully they figure it out with him. But unfortunately, with this Continental Classic, you really see where everybody is placed on the roster. And he took a pretty big loss here, but he made it this far to go up against Swerve in this spot. So it wasn't definitely too bad how it came out. But we did start off with Swerve Strickland versus Roosh. Mr.Dubbs, did you have any high points of this match you wanted to point out?
I mean, I thought it was a great match. Definitely, I would say either my 1A or 1B for match of the show. Roosh took he took a beautiful fake Roosh did a beautiful fake of the double knees, gave the fans the finger, then gave the face wash to Swerve with his boot. I thought it was some good heel work. He followed up with a beautiful power slam. Fans got really incredibly behind Swerve as we expected.
Yeah.
But I thought Roosh definitely had a good showing, and in this tournament they've done a good job at showing off. I don't know if it's because of legitimate injuries or if it's storyline, but everybody has some part of their body part taped up. Roosh had his left thigh was all taped up, whereas Swerve had it on his shoulder. So I think they're doing a great job just showcasing how much like a G1 style tournament really, it really lays on you after a few weeks, right? After all these matches. So again, I don't know if those are legitimate tape up because of injuries or not. So they've sold me on that. That's what wrestling is. They sold me. I don't know if it's legit injuries or not, but I think Roosh had a good showing, and it was a great match tonight.
Yeah, had a good showing, and Swerve is so hot right now. I don't think the loss hurts him. So if they wanted to continue to push forward with Roosh, then they could definitely do that. Bryan, you didn't see this match, right? I know you came in a bit late.
Yeah, no, I came in like 15, 20 minutes late. So I probably missed that match. Yeah,
but it was a good match. I mean, pretty much what you would expect from Swerve at this point. I don't know how I feel about the stomp being his finisher though. Every time I see it, it just reminds me of Finn Balor, even though he does it a bit different. I think he could go with a better finisher because he does have a pretty good moveset. Y'all got any thoughts on that? Or
well, what did you guys think about them going? Like, I felt this match more so than the other ones throughout the evening in the tournament. This one went very G1, like Japanese strong style. Like Roosh did that devastating arm wringer from the apron onto the corner of the ring. They looked brutal right on the injury to Swerve. Swerve hit a 450. Roosh kicked out at 1. Very strong style-esque. But my favorite part really probably of the match was actually at the end of the match when Swerve won. There's just a small detail where Roosh was staring at Aubrey as she was counting. He didn't have his eyes closed. He wasn't looking away. He was staring, where a lot of the wrestlers, when they're going to kick out, you see them. They're staring up at the ref and they kick out at 2. He was staring at Aubrey the whole time, went down for the 3. It's just that tiny little detail that I was really impressed with that not a lot of wrestlers do, because when they're going to take the fall, you can tell because they're not watching the refs count.
Right.
But they will when they have to kick out, whereas Roosh stared the whole time. That, to me, just that small little detail just shows you just the difference. Those little differences that set the guys apart, and I really appreciated that.
Right, I agree, and that is something that you pointed out when it happened, and that's a conversation we had before, because I'll say Roman Reigns, that's one guy that you could see when he's about to take that pin, he's always looking up at the ref. Now, because he doesn't get pinned too often, I don't know if he does it when the ref's actually going to count 3. We'll have to take a look at that in his future matches, but you could definitely tell every time he gets pinned, he's looking at the ref to make sure they get as close to that 3 as possible and he catches the kick out. So the fact that he did it even when he wasn't going to kick out, I think that is the way that that's the best way to do it if you're going to do it at all. So
if you're going to watch, because I know for Austin, he always would ask guys when he did a podcast, he'd say, are you like, do you watch? Or are you a sound guy? Austin was always a sound guy. He would never look at the ref, never look at their arms, eyes closed. He'd always go by sound. So he said, as long as you're keeping that same cadence, I'll always kick out before 3. Just make sure you'd always tell the refs, make sure you keep that same cadence. So he was never a watching guy. But you notice with so many guys, when they're watching the ref, they just won't look when it's a 3 count, and that's when you can tell the match is over.
So
that small detail with Roosh, I really appreciated that.
Yeah, that's what's up. So how long has Roosh been doing this, Is he like a veteran at this point? I don't follow the AAA stuff.
I don't either, so I really couldn't tell you.
It's a veteran move, though. That's what. I'd say that.
Sure.
All right, and before we move forward, shout out to Mike Fiesel in the chat. Shout out to Leon Cooper, Gabe Battley, Primetime 210237, and Gabe Battley. We appreciate y'all for showing up here tonight. But after the Swerve match, we move straight forward to Chris Jericho making the announcement. Now, we found out last week that Kenny Omega has diverticulitis. Hopefully, he gets well very soon. I didn't know the injury or what he had going on was that serious. So I'm glad that they caught it when they did, so he can get it taken care of. But he is out indefinitely. So Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega versus Beavis and Butthead. What's his name?
Big Bill and
Ricky Starks. That's Beavis and Butthead guy.
Ricky Starks, yeah.
That match is off. So do y'all think they just keep the tag team championships off of the show at World's End, or will somebody else get that tag title spot? Tony Khan likes to do a tournament or something, so the next week might be a full tournament to figure out who goes forward. What do y'all think?
Go to Bryan first.
All right, so I think I think they are going to be defended at the show still. I just think that, like you said, Kenny, I don't know if it'll be a tournament, but we'll probably be seeing a number 1 contenders match either Wednesday or Saturday at Collision, and that's just the way that is going to be. That is going to be booked. I don't think they leave him off the show because I really think that the tag team championships is actually something really cares about with the way he's handled the championships. So I don't think that he'll leave him off.
Yeah.
I just don't. Because the shows are always so loaded that giving some guys
Shout out to
little extra
Loaded.
time. Yeah, definitely. But the show's getting that little extra match time, just getting a little extra time to breathe. I never think is a bad thing on these pay-per-views. But the pay-per-views always blow me away, regardless. The level is just, it's such a high level, which is why guys are getting injured. But every pay-per-view just blows you away. I don't know if we get a tag team title match. If we do, I could even see it going on the pre-show if it's not like an FTR level tag team that they're facing. And what babyface teams are there that they can really throw in there that's not named FTR or the Young Bucks? What other babyface tag teams would you want to see in this match? Because the Acclaimed, they're the trios champs, right?
Yeah,
they're busy. Right. Who do we have? You don't want to put them in against House of Black. You don't want a heel team. So who is it? Like, is it going to be Trent and Rocky Romero or something? Or
I didn't notice that the AEW tag division was like, I don't want to say weak because they have a lot of tag teams, but I feel like we can't really even name a tag team aside from FTR.
It's because of the trios. It's because they've split between their tag divisions between trios and tag team, and they're trying to keep both strong. But instead, you've made them both weak. So, can you name more than 2 trios right now, other than the Acclaimed and the House of Black, that really should be feeding for the trios titles?
No.
And then it's the same thing with the tag belts.
Action and Ready.
That's what I mean, right? And that's the same thing. That takes out Top Flight out of the tag team division.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's why. Yeah.
Yeah. But the Gun Club, my favorite tag team in AEW, unfortunately, they're bad guys, so I don't know if you want to do that. Primetime says #1 contender tag team tournament. Yeah, I don't think you can do that in 1 week. It'll feel too forced. So I don't know where they go.
Like a battle royal. They always go battle royals, right?
You're right.
But like, even if you're doing that, you're just taking out like an FTR or if the Bucks are just off TV. I don't think they're coming back. So there's not even enough teams I see to do that with because they've broken up so many of their teams as well, right? Yeah. That literally all I can think of is going to be like Trent Beretta and friends, whether it's Rocky Romero or Chucky or Orange Cassidy and Hook again. Like, who else do you do? Like, who's there? Well, you could do the Mogul Embassy. Like, they have more heel teams, I think, than the new babyface right now.
Right.
I think that's the problem.
I can't think of another babyface tag team. But how's Sammy Guevara right now? He was coming off of a concussion, right? I know he had him and Ty had a baby.
Yeah.
So I mean,
who
if
would
they
he tag
want
with?
Chris Jericho. If Chris Jericho says, you know what, I'm still mad at you guys. I'm not giving up the shot. I brought somebody else in. Lay Sex Gods back for the night.
That actually, I think you might have just nailed it because that would make perfect sense. Yeah, that 100% would make perfect sense.
That would, because Chris Jericho just needs another partner.
That's it. I mean, if they're going to keep Chris Jericho in that picture, since they were feuding with Ricky Starks and Big Bill, then bring in Sammy Guevara if he's available. And I'd say,
who else is Ricky Starks feuded with outside of Bryan Danielson? Like, I can't think of anybody, like, just a feud that he might have had to throw in. Well, I mean, that somebody that's there. I can't think of any big feuds that it's just like a Powerhouse Hobbs.
I was going to say Powerhouse. Yeah, he's a heel. He can't jump in there with Chris Jericho. And where's he been?
That's a good question. They have right now so many stars out. Why is Powerhouse and the whole not Heenan family? What's his name? Don Callis family.
Yeah,
they've just been off TV for a bit, and I don't know. They've been off since they lost their feud with Kenny and them. They've just kind of been off TV ever since.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Konosuke Takeshita, he was pretty hot, and they were doing something with him, but then everybody just disappeared. You know what? I didn't even notice that until just now.
But this is another thing. Heels. They have so many heels.
You're right. Yeah, more heels.
We could get the Gun Club in there. We could get other parts of Bullet Club Gold as a tag team. But it's all heels. It's all heels. Yeah. There's no real. So I think obviously Jericho and Omega were supposed to win. So you could be right. Jericho and Sammy Guevara would make perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, I can't think of your babyface. Maybe Daniel Garcia. Like,
didn't he lose every match in this tournament?
I feel like they dropped the ball on him, bro. I feel like he was really over.
I don't think he was ready yet. No, the dance was going to fizzle out. I mean, I don't know how sustainable that was.
Do they have any signees? Yeah. Is there anybody signed to AEW that hasn't debuted yet that's like a smaller name, like it's not a giant? Yeah, that's not a giant debut.
They said a lot of those contracts are up tomorrow. They were saying it was a pair. Who is Emma? Who's Emma's boyfriend? Riddick Moss, his contract is up. That's a smaller guy. And I think he got released with Dolph Ziggler. So do you bring Dolph Ziggler in the tag with Chris Jericho?
Dolph Ziggler with his brother, coming in.
You could do it, yeah. And hey, give him the belts.
Yeah, that great way to
Put the
bring Dolph
straps
in,
on
make
him.
him mean something. Sure.
Yeah.
Because I honestly can't think of babyface tag teams outside of FTR.
Yeah.
And I don't think you make FTR lose to them again, because what do you do with FTR after that? And they're already feuding with House of Black, which I think is good. I like
good.
what they're
I
doing
like
with
that,
FTR and House of Black. I don't want you to mess with that. So
Yep.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
They don't have a whole lot of baby faces to choose from.
So I think
Hangman Adam Page, like.
I love Adam Page. Do anything.
Yeah, but I'm just
want with him.
I'm
Give
just
him a
trying to.
belt,
I'm just
sure.
trying to think of baby faces that can fill the role.
But I think you just hit on you probably just hit the nail on the head there as well. You said even if it's a small name, anybody coming in. Being that they did have that talent crop released in WWE, and their contracts are coming up tomorrow, I believe they said it was. They could be bringing guys in because World's End is next week. I'm sure we'll get some type of debuts.
The Devil. Do you want to see one of the released WWE guys
it's
end up
just
being
in time
the Devil?
too.
Yeah.
Who could it be though?
Could be a Dolph Ziggler. That's a big way to push him.
Ziggler. That would be a big way to push him. I wonder what the story behind that would be. Did he have any beef
and then
with
you have
Nick?
Ryan Nemeth. Ryan Nemeth could be one of the guys in the seats.
He could. Hey, there you go. You just figured it out. I don't know though. I would be happy with it. I love Dolph Ziggler. He was always one of my favorites in WWE. So
I think if they could maybe do something with him, he's got a good solid, I'd say 5 years at least of that match
he's still
quality. Like I still
How
think
old
he
is
can
he?
go for sure. I think he's probably about the same age as Omega, right around 40.
Yeah, I think he's 40.
Yeah.
Let's look it up just to make sure. Dolph
43
Ziggler
actually.
43.
Okay.
He looks great for 43 too. I'm sure he's a very athletic guy. He can still go.
I'm sure he could still go 5 years.
Yeah, for sure. He still got it in him.
I wouldn't be mad to see him in. He's one of the few released guys that I wouldn't mind, and I think he will go to AEW.
And I'd want to see Jungle Boy in there still, even if Dolph Ziggler was like the leader of the pack, the actual devil. I know y'all don't believe in Jungle Boy. I still believe in him. I think he needs to be under the learning tree of somebody.
I hate the fact that he was the final nail in the coffin for CM Punk, because I love CM Punk. And I hate having to watch WWE. I'm not gonna lie. I hate having to watch that just to see CM Punk.
Well, maybe it's because I'm on the other side of the
about
fence. That's why I'm giving Jungle Boy that extra boost in his.
Because you didn't like Punk.
I'm glad. Yeah, glad Jungle Boy got him out of there for us. Cry Me a River. And if he comes back and Cry Me a River is his theme, it's a wrap. It's over.
Amazing. But if you couldn't get the Gun Club 50 Cent's theme as a regular thing, many men are like, oh, that was so good.
Yeah, I think they didn't want to pay for it.
That's what I mean.
The rights for that song is probably insane, bro. It's 50 Cent we talking about.
Yep, Diamond. It's like a Diamond album and stuff. So right.
Yeah.
All right, but I definitely want to get back to the Devil, but let's go ahead and continue on the show because he does make some appearances tonight. So after Chris Jericho makes that announcement, we get to Jay Lethal versus Mark Briscoe. Did anybody have any thoughts on this match? Anything stood out to him?
I mean, these guys are killing each other. They're literally, it's no points on the line, and you're literally just going balls to the wall. Like this was my 1B, 1A or 1B. This was my other match of the night.
Yeah.
Like they went out, they killed each other for it. Let me just get to my notes here. I mean, this basically was the match for who's going to leave the tournament with 0 points.
Yeah.
And which is, I mean, somebody has to, right? You have to, there's going to be people with most points, people without. Jay Briscoe and Jay Lethal went out there. They had a hell of a match with
Mark
no
Briscoe.
stakes.
They'll kill you.
Is it Mark? Is it Mark?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I had it as Jay versus Jay.
Yeah, that's why I asked y'all earlier to make sure we didn't put it the wrong way.
But Mark Briscoe first, they had a solid TV match. Both men looked fantastic. They both hit Jay Drillers. They both looked devastating on the necks. I was worried about both of them. And, at the end of it, Jay Lethal is the one who's done dirty with 0 points in the tournament. But they had a hell of a last match for them in the tournament. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I wonder what they do with Jay Lethal from here. So he's the guy who has 0 points in the tournament. You could definitely spin a story off from it, or they can just leave it alone and let him keep, doing matches and losing. I think that'll be like a missed opportunity because if you're going to have somebody leave with 0 points, hopefully there's some type of follow-up there to go behind that. Even if it's like a you lost every match. Who had the lost every match gimmick? That was...
Heath Slater?
Not Heath Slater. Not Tyler Breeze. What's the guy's name?
Lost every match.
He has a school with Tyler Breeze.
Oh, was that the chairman of AEW?
No, that was
Like
that was the Perfect 10.
Perfect
Nah,
10,
not
Tyler
him.
Breeze or Tyler or whatever.
I keep wanting to say Curtis Axel, but it's not Curtis Axel. Come on, guys. Kurt Hawkins. There
Curtis
you go. Shout out to Kadir Finley. That's what I couldn't get the name.
Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah, it was Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah,
so
thank you to the chat. Shout out to the chat for that one.
All right, so after the Jay Lethal Mark Briscoe match, we moved forward to a Wardlow promo. So Wardlow has a dark look now. He's dyeing his hair black. He's growing it back out. And for whatever reason, it seems like he's chasing MJF, but MJF isn't really paying him any attention. He's been having the storyline getting at MJF, but again, it just seems like he's not being acknowledged. And they did the thing where he's coming out every time, like you'll see the Devil segment and then he'll come back right after. One week he came out after the Devil and his hair was matted down like he had a mask on. So they're kind of like throwing those hints, but they're kind of making it too painfully obvious for Wardlow to actually be revealed as the Devil. So what do y'all think is going on with Wardlow? Let's start with you, Bryan.
It's hard to say, bro, because at first I did think he was the Devil, but like you said, I feel like they're making it too obvious at this point. And the promo today was more like throwing hints here and there, and making references that to the point where I don't think he is the Devil. But then again, they may be trying to swerve us. But I don't know. It is kind of weird to me though, like how he's just throwing all these shots at MJF, and this actually has been going on for a while now. And MJF is kind of just doing his own thing, feuding with Samoa Joe and feuding with Jay White. So it's kind of like, yo, it's almost like he's just not even visible. Like, but yeah, that's my whole thing with that. But I don't know what's gonna happen though, because if I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. But if MJF drops the title to Samoa Joe, where does Wardlow's storyline go? I guess he focuses on Samoa Joe now. Would probably be the next thing. So I don't know what's gonna happen, but whatever's going on is interesting. I will say that the promo today though, that with the segment and everything, I did think that was pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think about this, Mr. Dubbs, as far as like Wardlow cutting his promo saying he's gonna kill the Devil or capture MJF? What does Wardlow have going on?
I personally, ever since they did the first segments with Wardlow coming back, since they've reintroduced him, I thought they've been fantastic.
Yeah.
Because the best quality in a heel is for them to fully be honest with you with all their motivations and still have you hate them. And right off the bat, he said, the man who was the Devil, who everybody hated, he screwed everybody over, would run over his own grandmother to retain the title, and now you're all cheering him. I haven't changed. I haven't done anything different, and now you cheer him as the Devil, and I'm the bad guy. When he did this to me, he did that. Like, I've loved his motivations. It all makes sense. I thought the segment was also quite good. He's calling the end of the reign of MJF is it going to be at World's End? Like, he's saying he's going to cost MJF the title. He's going to cost him everything he cares about. Yeah. So, I mean, I thought it was a great segment. I think it gives Wardlow some purpose. And, I mean, this gives MJF an out to drop that title. I mean, he's got the injury, everything else. I'm on the camp of I think he's going to drop it and do the right thing and drop it to Joe at World's End. But I think this is a great way to do that. They've left so many breadcrumbs. Almost every segment, they had a Devil segment. They would have Wardlow come out right after.
Yep.
They did the thing with the messed up hair, everything else. So they've given you every opportunity. Like they've dropped the breadcrumbs that you could literally guess anyone on the AEW roster to be the Devil, and you wouldn't be wrong. My girlfriend was just saying to me just a second ago, who says it has to be a man who's in the Devil mask?
Right.
Well, who would it be? Maybe it's Ronda Rousey. Maybe it's Ronda Rousey.
Please, no.
I know, but no. I'm just saying she's just throwing it out there because she knows she was on ROH, right?
Oh,
but
yeah.
But it could be anyone, and it could easily be Britt Baker because hey, that's Adam Cole's. That's Adam Cole's girlfriend, wife. I don't know if they're engaged. I don't know the situation.
But you know what?
Either way, their partner. It could easily be Britt Baker. She's been off TV for so long. She's the main focus. Like, why couldn't it be Britt? And then MJF has to pick is my best friend or my partner, right? You know what I mean? That could be a line they go down.
Have we seen the Devil in like physical contact, or has they just been making orders?
They've just been kind of making orders. Like, it's been the guy, like they'll beat somebody up and then the Devil will walk in.
The only time
unless it was the first time
was the first attack against Jay White.
Jay White, yeah.
But again, they could have easily had anybody there, and now they've transition to like it wouldn't bother me at all if they had.
I would like that.
Well, the first time we saw her, it was a man, and now it's Britt Baker.
Yeah, like Britt Baker just leading a group of guys.
A great way to reintroduce
Or you know what? Even Emma, if she came in as like Dark Emma, and she had like some WWE guys mixing there with Wardlow, Dolph Ziggler, just a woman leading a faction like that, I think that'll be cool.
I think it would be very cool, but Britt Baker making sense for me just in the fact that
it's because of Cole.
Because Adam Cole,
Adam Cole,
and you want to get him away because he didn't, and then she can be in line with Roddy Strong and that whole group because she's the one who set all this up. She's the one who set everything up.
And that's the way you get Cole to do the heel turn.
Yeah, right? If she unmasks as a devil, and then she got like 5 people with her, and everybody starts taking their mask off, and it's just a surprise after surprise. And then right behind her, the last person takes their mask off, and it's Adam Cole.
Adam Cole.
Yeah, but Britt Baker's leading the pack. Beautiful. Boom, you just booked it for him.
Boom.
Somebody send this to Tony Khan, tell him let's do it.
I think that's a way better answer than Jack Perry being the guy. Please don't just
I agree. I mean, you could have Jack Perry in there with them, but...
Of course, but that's what I'm saying. You could have everybody in this with them.
I just think it would be a very underwhelming decision if it was Jack Perry.
I agree.
I wouldn't be mad if it was Jack Perry. I'd be satisfied with it.
She doesn't have to watch the product week to week to know to predict these things. She's great at it. She's great with it.
There you go. They need to put her on the.
She was the one calling. She was calling CM Punk going to WWE and being the one to dethrone Roman Reigns. Is what she thinks. She thinks he'll be the guy.
Brian don't like that. Right. Brian doesn't like that. But yeah, man, if it was Jack Perry, I wouldn't be mad. Have him look down at the ground, look up, play the Cry Me a River song, and then have him take the mask off. Boom. But yeah, the Britt Baker idea, I think that's the best. I think the Britt Baker idea is the best.
That would be great. But as far as Wardlow, sorry, I just think close out for Wardlow. I think he's done great work, and I think you definitely can have Wardlow come out there when the ref's down, ref takes a bump, and just powerbomb MJF to hell, and then he loses the title. Joe could be knocked out when it happens, not even know what happens, crawl over, get the pin, choke him out, whatever you want to do. I definitely see Wardlow being involved in that main event just because of the way they built this, though. I think for sure he's going to be involved some way in that main event.
Yeah, they rehabbed him nicely though, because he was hurt bad when he got that TNT championship, lost it, got it back. It was lost, but like when he disappeared and came back, I think they're doing good rehabbing him, but they got to keep it going because he's another one of those guys who could be one of their future champions if they didn't kind of disappoint him too bad and he makes the jump. So we'll see. But we followed up Wardlow with a Samoa Joe appearance. He comes down to the ring. MJF follows down behind him, and he's accusing Samoa Joe of being the masked man. Now, Samoa Joe, he's kind of course, he's not, because this is not, you can look at the masked man and see it's not Samoa Joe, because Samoa Joe is a big guy. But does he have anything to do with it? I'm not sure, because he's acting kind of, I don't know, he's acting too buddy-buddy with MJF. Is that just because he wants the championship, or do y'all think he could possibly have something to do with it? Maybe do you think he has a plan for them to help him win the championship?
I can see that.
I could easily see what I think of Samoa Joe sitting with that glass of scotch, with the cigar, in the suit, Kingpin. That's what I think of. I think Scarface. I think Kingpin from Marvel. I think, you know what I mean? He's the boss. He's a boss.
Right.
And he said, when I get hungry, you'll know. And he's hungry, so he could have set up this whole devil everything. He doesn't have to be the devil. He could be the one who set everything up and not be in the mask. And this was all set up to get him the title, and you've got Britt Baker behind it or whoever else. Like, there's so many ways they can go with it. And I'm actually, because of this episode, so much more interested in who the devil's going to be than I was last week, or than I was even after Collision. I didn't care up until this point at all.
Right, and he doesn't have to be like involved. Like, I'm one of these guys. Like, it could be a thing where they just shake hands and he tips his head at him and he leaves the ring.
Exactly.
Like they have 100%. Some type of deal together. So that'd be a good way for him to do it.
Yeah, I think MJF made a really good point. Samoa Joe has been in the title picture, and it seems like they're just attacking a lot of main event guys. He hasn't been touched. Yeah. So now you kind of thinking it's like, okay, he hasn't. They haven't attacked him. They haven't done anything to him. So. That's a good point. He's not the devil himself. Obviously, we could all put money on that, but I definitely think he has something to do with that.
Could have made a deal with the devil. You know, they could. Yeah. Samoa Joe has made a deal with the devil. Whatever, you know, wrestling stuff. But after the promo, pretty much when they finished sparring in the ring, the devil jobbers come out, the jobber guys, and then they just beat them up, throw them out of the ring, and then we see, I believe it was 5 people that I think are the actual people with the devil. They surrounded the ring, and the lights go out. When the lights went out, we got some text on the Titantron that says, "Where can you go? Who can you trust? Next week, will you accept a challenge for your Ring of Honor titles? Are you a hero?" Now, I'm not going to take Mr. Dubbs' thought here because he came up with something very great when we got that text. What was that, Mr. Dubbs?
I mean, is that a link to, obviously, Are You a Hero, Max? A link to Chris Hero. Chris Hero was talked to be about working backstage at AEW, doing some stuff there. I mean, he was supposed to be the 3rd member of the Shield once upon a time.
Mm-hmm.
I could easily see him being the devil as well if they want to bring him in, and if they want to push him hard. That's whoever's behind this mask is going to be getting a huge push, or should be.
Right.
So if Chris Hero, if you want to go in that direction, fantastic, because it's just such a weird line of "Are you a hero, Max?" Like, it could be referencing the Acclaimed, maybe, but I really think for me, it's just that's a dead giveaway. That could be Chris Hero. But this is what I mean when I say they've been leaving breadcrumbs in every direction. The power bomb to Hangman on the car, on the windshield. Obviously, to a shout out to Jack Perry. We've had the hair thing with Wardlow. We have in a later on segment, you get the mask outside the Mogul Embassy's locker room. So they've dropped breadcrumbs everywhere. It was just that one line of "Are you a hero, Max?" That it's like, could it be Chris Hero?
You know what? That would definitely be interesting. I haven't seen Chris Hero in a long time. I know, unfortunately, I think he had some health stuff going on that caused him to get out of shape. I don't know if he's rebounded or if they would just bring him in as he is, but I think that would be very interesting because of the fact that we haven't seen him for so long. So that was a good thought because they have been throwing this hero thing around, and there's got to be something to that. So after we see the text on the screen, Max pretty much like tries to reason with Samoa Joe to try to help him defend the titles, but Joe cuts him off and was like, "You know what? We're doing it. We're defending these titles." And he leaves the ring. Max was kind of surprised, like, "All right, you know what? Let's do it." So apparently he's going to be facing 2 people from, like, 2 of the masked men. Do they unmask 2 men right there?
I mean, they set up the same match last week or the week before, and it was just 2 masked men, and they were defending the AEW tag titles, or the ROH tag titles against them. And that's when we got the segment where MJF's just knocked out with a bottle, and there just was no match. There was no replacement, nothing. So now they're just advertising the same thing they advertised 2 weeks ago. I don't see why you would have MJF wrestle at all before World's End if he legitimately is injured and everything. Why risk aggravating it before the big match in your hometown?
Yeah,
if you're just going to power through and get that match. So I don't think we're getting a match. I think there's going to be some shenanigans, or it'll be like MJF just stays out of the match the entire time. Maybe gets a hot tag.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Because they already advertised this match and didn't give it to us. And it's not like it's a match we care about, other than the fact that it's like, why is MJF wrestling before the pay-per-view? So I'm not excited about this, and I don't want to see this match happen.
Yeah, I don't want to see it happen either, but he might be doing the wrestler thing. You know, Cody Rhodes went in there with a tore up shoulder or pec or whatever and did the match even though he was hurt. MJF was probably like, you know what? This is if I'm going out for injury, I'm going to do these 2 matches. I'll drop both belts, and then we'll go from there. So if they do this match, I think something's going to happen where they lose the belts, but I think it would be smarter for them to just keep MJF out of the ring since he has to perform in that main event. But if you do that, do you pin Samoa Joe? Like, how do you get yourself out of this?
I think you have MJ. I mean, just drop the straps. Like, you know, he gets attacked backstage again, and we're going to see the same thing again. And then Joe's just like nuts to this and gets counted out, or they get disqualified. I don't know. Like, it's just I don't see why they're so adamant about keeping these tag titles on MJF and Adam Cole for all this long. I understand.
I don't know why they want to keep them on
was.
AEW TV for this long.
Yeah, for real.
It's so weird. Like, you might as well have just given them the AEW tag straps to begin with, if you wanted the focus to be around them for the tag team and you want to try out your tag team division. Because that's more sets of tag teams that can't be fighting Ricky Starks and Big Bill.
Yep.
Right?
That's true.
Like, so it's so weird. I got the buddy cop thing that you were doing with Adam Cole and the big turn and everything. But once he got injured, you could have just dropped those straps. You didn't need to have him win a handicap match and ruin one of your brand new tag teams right off the bat.
Right.
And then have now Samoa Joe defending with him. Like, so how come Samoa Joe doesn't have the other half of that belt? Because he defended it with him. He doesn't carry it with him. Adam Cole's still the champ, and now it's Joe defending again. Like it's just too much of the wrestling BS that I don't like.
Yep.
That I just would rather see them Joe just dropped the title after defending against Keith Lee for the ROH tag title or the TV title.
Dropped the.
So why is this tag title still going on? Like, why does this matter?
Yeah,
like, is Joe just going to screw? Is Joe just going to give up this whole "I'm protecting you all month" thing, and I want you to 100%, and then just screw MJF and MJF? You know what I mean? Like, kick him in the balls, let the choke.
I mean,
him
you
out
got to get the titles off him. No,
you got to get him off before he goes. I mean, unless he's just going to win it and then say we're retiring just like Samoa Joe.
It don't make sense though, because then you put the title on the masked men, and we don't even know who they are. So it's just I don't know what they're doing. I feel like they kind of put themselves in a situation where it's tough. Because
personally, putting them on a masked man hurts them more than it helps.
But then you can make any two guys the champions once the Devil's unmasked and you have them all unmasked. They can then choose whatever two guys they want to put those titles on if it goes on masked men. Yeah. If they don't reveal them.
Then again, who gets pinned though? Because the only way that I can even see this remotely happening is if Samoa Joe is kind of says literally
the balls, chokes him out, and then just leaves him laying, walks away. Masked men take it.
Yeah, but if it's a count out win, they wouldn't get the belts, right?
No, I'm saying
no. He means like does it in the ring.
MJF just gets kicked in the balls by Samoa Joe. Oh, I dropped out.
No, you're good.
Oh, no? Okay, it froze on my screen. I thought I dropped out for a second. But if you just have MJF just get kicked in the balls from behind, Samoa Joe chokes him out, puts him down, and then he's out cold. The random masked dude just takes the win. And then it does it because that way it's all Joe that did all the work. Joe just walks away after he chokes him out. He's unconscious, loses the belts. You don't have MJF risk injury. That's how I could see it going.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, Dubs. I rock with that.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the last time we saw MJF tonight. But the next segment did see Renee Young in the back with Orange Cassidy and Rocky Romero, who says Orange Cassidy will be defending his belt on Rampage against Rocky Romero. Either y'all got any thoughts on this?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't really care for it.
Yeah, not my cup. Nah.
You know what's the issue? That I'm not gonna lie, man. I don't want to be that person, but I'm not. It's not that I'm tired of Orange Cassidy's run, but it's a very similar run to what he just did.
Yeah,
like it's just you know what I'm saying. I'm kind of like just put the title on somebody else. You know, it don't got to be Jon Moxley. We can put it on just somebody else. But I'm kind of over. He held the title for I forgot how long when he first lost it. So I'm like, bro, we don't need another OC full on run. Have him drop the title, do his thing, but yeah, that's just my opinion. I just think the run is getting very repetitive. It's giving me like his last reign vibe. So
yeah, I don't mind it though. I don't mind it. I like Orange Cassidy. I think they're building him up in a good way. You know, they kind of made him hot at that point, and then they didn't let him cool. He did kind of cool back down when he lost it, but they at least kept him in the mix, like being depressed about losing his title. Now they got it back on him. So, you know what? If you want him to be one of your guys up there, and him holding this title, having those great matches, I think makes it where you see that title and you be like, okay, we're about to get one of those type of matches. So I don't mind him keeping the belt as long as they keep positioning him in the right way. But you said you weren't for it either, Mr. Dubbs?
Well, I mean, it feels like, he's had it. I enjoyed his first run better personally.
Agreed.
But it was a lot of the focus was every week something else was taped up. Something else was taped up. He's more and more injured, still fighting. But they were making it like the Intercontinental title used to be, where it was the workhorse title. Like whoever's the workhorse of the company, that's who got it. And think of how far we've come with Orange Cassidy, from the joke character that never wrestled to that incredible first match he had with Pac, which was amazing. Which is another guy like, where's Pac? Where's he been? Like, is there something wrong? Like, I think
he got injured again. I believe he got injured again.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that championship didn't mean anything until the Cassidy run with that long run. I think right now it's weak because he wasn't ever supposed to hold it. It should have been on Moxley. He got his win back on Moxley, but I just don't know what they're doing with him. I like it being the workhorse title. I'm all for them having that, old school Intercontinental title vibe to it. I'm all for it, but I just think the best friends as a whole, just get them off my television.
Oh,
I'm fine with Orange Cassidy. The best friends are always, it's so hard.
I agree. They're kind of OG AEW guys, so, I'll give them that break. I used to like to watch them on BTE and stuff. Like the Sue, like when they had the backstage match with Proud and Powerful, they were so good back then, but of course they.
I don't mind them as comedy characters. If you want to have them have the R-Truth segment like he does with the Judgment Day or something like that, if you want it as your comedy side, that's fine. But it's like Orange Cassidy's like trying to be serious, but then you have him with all the comedy gimmicks, and it's the meshing of it. It just doesn't feel right at this point. They can always rehab him, because I had no problem with the Best Friends being that comedy act, especially with Danhausen and everything else. But it feels like they're trying to go serious with Orange Cassidy, and I just can't take the rest of them seriously. And Rocky Romero just pops in randomly, so it's just he's back with Trent. He's not. It's like, okay, are you doing something with New Japan? Because he's the liaison, I know, for between them and New Japan. It's fine, but seeing Rocky Romero randomly there with no explanation, I'm like, is there something going on? Like, is there some New Japan stars in town for some shows I don't know about, or like, why was Rocky even there tonight? I didn't understand.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but after that segment ends, we get Toni Storm coming out looking good. And then she goes to the commentary table, and they said, we're happy to have you at commentary. And she said a weird line, a crazy line. And he said, I'm happy to be you're my tenant or something.
I got the line. I got the line for you. I was just getting the timestamps here. But, okay, so she came out to Taz, comes out on commentary, comes out in the black and white. Gotta love the gimmick. Gotta love everything about Toni Storm at this point. The gimmick, I'm fully sold on it. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
But she comes out to say it to Taz, and she says Taz is her favorite landlord, and everybody's and you don't realize she's speaking to Taz, right? She just says, "You're my favorite landlord," and I was like, "What a weird thing to say." She says, as she hears that he's the human duplex machine. Just such a random off the cuff line. I don't know if it was prepared or if it was just on the spot. But it literally made me pop. I just laughed. I just thought it was so funny. It's perfect.
Yeah, because I was like, "What?" And then you pointed out. I was like, "Okay, I see what she said." But after she comes out,
so funny.
And joins the commentary team, we get Saraya coming out, who's also looking good. I said she's looking better than she did in better than she ever did, I would say. But she comes out to have a match with Riho. Oh, this one was kind of bad, guys. What do y'all think about it?
That entrance was my favorite part of the match.
The entrance was great. Great entrance. But
I love seeing Saraya come out. She looks like she's in great shape. She honestly looks like she's been in the gym. She's been working out. I don't know what her health situation is, because I know there's a reason she can't work and even be on TV week to week. I hope her situation isn't serious. I didn't think the match again, this is on Saraya, whichever. On her caliber of levels of matches she's had outside of the match at All In, which is incredible and an incredible moment. I think this was on the higher caliber, better side, because she hasn't wrestled a lot of one-on-one matches. She's been hidden in tags. I think for her level of matches that she's had since coming back, this was one of her better matches. There were a few botches. Did you lose me?
And I don't think it was her fault. No, we got you.
Okay, it froze on my screen. Yeah. So but I mean, Riho hit a couple of beautiful tilt-a-whirl head scissors outside the ring, looked brutal. I mean, there was also a funny shot just randomly just in the crowd when they showed I'd rather be at Nitro sign in the crowd, which I thought was hilarious. And then Riho had a beautiful looking Northern Lights on Saraya. Saraya put over Riho. There was a few botched spots, but overall, I thought it was a decent match, and I was just happy to see her wrestle. It's not the caliber of some of the other women's matches that we have been having. Is the caliber of the women's matches have been getting better in AEW, but I'm happy to see Saraya out there looking great, and I just think she needs the reps, right? And I don't know
think it was
how
bad
many years
on her end. I don't think it was bad because of her, but Riho almost like spiked her on her head.
With that Northern Lights,
and after that, like when they went for the finish, she like picked her up and she didn't really get up in time. And then when she did get up, Riho kind of hesitated, and
the end
Saraya
spot
was just sitting there, just waiting for the finish. And I was like, oh, that was kind of rough.
Well, she hit her off the top, and it looked like Saraya was waiting came right off the top. They were waiting for us, but Saraya looked like she was getting ready to get pinned.
Nice.
Well, I'm saying they're.
Oh no! You said they were waiting for us. I was like, ugh, you got to.
Yeah, they were waiting for us. They were waiting for our review, the post show.
For sure.
But it looked like she was just getting ready to get pinned, which would be your instinct after someone hits something off the top.
Yeah.
And then Riho pulled her up, and then Saraya, which I thought was weird too, she scooted forward while then just sitting there like this, like Undertaker style, just waiting for the move. And then
Kinda
she
weird.
hit it, and like it looked really awkward.
Yeah.
And I just think that was maybe language barrier, maybe like if they were calling stuff in the ring, or because it just looked like Saraya was getting ready to get pinned.
Yeah.
Like
right.
from a top rope move and maybe kick out. So I don't know if there was just maybe miscommunication on
It
that
had to be
spot
something,
or what it was.
or she just needed to move
that-
faster, Riho. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But after
It
the
did
match
seem weird.
ended, Toni Storm rushed the ring. She pretty much got beat up. She got beat up and thrown right out. Mariah May makes the save, and then Toni Storm act like he didn't know her. Like, you know what? No thanks. I'm good. But yeah, Luther taking her to the back. Where do y'all think that's going? Y'all think we got a Mickie James Trish type storyline here, or
Similar.
similar to that?
Yeah, I think. Sorry, Brian. You go ahead.
No, I think eventually they're gonna go against each other. I mean, it's in the books. I mean, she's gonna be around for a minute, but eventually it's gonna get to a point where I think they're gonna wrestle each other.
Yeah, I think for sure.
I mean, for me, I just love all of Toni Storm's antics, regardless of where she's going and who her next program is,
agreed.
whether it's going to be Mariah May or not. Just the fact that Luther's carrying her down to the ring. They do the black and white camera cut. She's getting carried down. She's not wearing shoes. She comes into the ring. She pulls out the opera glasses and stares at Riho through their opera glasses. And then Riho slaps them out of her face, attacks her, and then hits. I don't know. I never knew that the tiger feint kick, like whatever they're doing, like is that like she's just using the 619 as one of her moves. But it looks very weak sauce when she's hitting it.
It's a rough one.
And then she hit the tiger feint kick, and then Maria May came down, like you said, smashed Riho with the title. But then when Luther was carrying Toni Storm out, Toni Storm was kind of looking at the camera and looking in the ring and looking at Luther, being like, "Who's that?" Pretending like she has no idea who Mariah is, and just had these like awesome, ridiculous, over the top facials after. But I just love the character work. She is awesome. Yeah. Love everything that Toni Storm is doing.
Yeah, I love when it goes black and white.
Top stuff.
Every time we see her, they're doing a great job with it. Yeah, they're doing a great job with the new gimmick. But
I agree.
Let's move on to the next segment. We had Tony Schiavone standing on the stage with a message from Christian. Did you take down some notes from his message?
Yep.
Because he was cutting everybody down, really, as he does.
I mean, he basically just took shots at the crowd, told everybody to quiet down for the message, and just doing the heel things, and making Tony Schiavone do it was kind of hilarious. But I mean, the point of the segment was just really watch Collision to get my response to whether I'm going to get him public. I guess just watch Collision, please.
Really,
folks.
to get Christian heard and get people to watch Collision. Yeah,
exactly.
I think that was pretty much the point here.
We're begging you.
But after that,
pretty much.
We got to what I think was the segment of the night. MJF's walking backstage, and he sees a mask outside of the Swerve Embassy. Knocks on the door. Prince Nana comes out. MJF jacks him up, holds him against the wall, and then we get that big stare down between MJF and Swerve Strickland. Do you have some good points on the promo, Mr. Dubbs?
Yeah, I mean, I got a few points. You guys can go ahead if Brian, if you want.
I think you got great notes.
Yeah, my boy. You go for it. I'll piggyback off you.
I started off. I'll just tell you how I started off. I said,
please go ahead.
MJF comes up and he hits Swerve with the Vince McMahon moment, minus the N-bomb. Singing the Swerve when I drive stuff. This just reminded me of when Mr. McMahon ran up into John Cena backstage. What's good in the hood? Then they went down and do a classic segment. But go ahead, Mr. Dubbs.
I mean, Swerve first MJF tells Samoa Joe, what a great job you've been doing protecting me. I think I'm good on my own. I'll take it from here, and just walks away. So it just gives a reason for Samoa Joe not to just be standing there for the whole promo segment. So it gave him a reason not to be on camera. So I appreciated just the small details like that.
Right.
I appreciated that. And then they just, he looks down on the ground. He sees one of the black masks. It's just laid right outside the Mogul Embassy's locker. MJF says without his theme, Swerve has his charisma's gone. Well, obviously first he was singing the song and everything else. I love that. But he says without the song, your charisma's gone. Swerve made references to William Regal, says that MJF does tryouts, Swerve signs contracts. I thought that was a good line. MJF calls Swerve out for his grill, says take out his Flavor Flav grill out, and asks about his obsession with Hangman. And have the Mogul Embassy may have been the ones to have jumped Hangman last week, and then asked are you the devil? Which would make sense because the whole issues he's had with Swerve and everything. That's another, because before this segment, what didn't even cross my mind because of the Continental Classic and everything, that Swerve could be the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is the first time they put that idea in my head. And the second I got to see Swerve and MJF in the same, head-to-head,
same atmosphere.
It was, to me, that
there was
that
an aura
match.
there. Yeah,
it had an aura there. It had a big match feel to it right away. It was like when you'd see Austin and Rock just look at each other in the back, you get that moment. Seeing that, for me, it was like a holy shit moment of the show for me, where I was like, oh my God, we're actually seeing this interaction. This is what I want. I want Swerve to get that push. I want him to be the champion. Obviously, you can have Samoa Joe be a transitional or whatever, but I was so happy just to see the segment. When he asked, "Are you the devil? This is your house. Well, I'm the big bad wolf, and I'll blow your house down, and I'll break both your arms, so you'll always be able to swerve when you drive."
Top tier sparring.
Swerve then says, "I'm not the devil you're looking for, but I will be the one to bring you to hell." And then Joe comes in right after that with his "What's good in the hood" line. And then, I mean, I thought it was a great segment. Definitely builds the anticipation instantaneously. I could care less about any other opponent for MJF, and it's just, I want to see Swerve. I want to see Swerve MJF. Unfortunately, because of the injury, I don't think we're going to get that match for a while. But I definitely want to see Swerve. I want to see MJF coming in to try and dethrone Swerve, as Swerve is the champion, and I want to see Swerve retain, because I really think Swerve is the future of this company. They can talk all the pillars they want. To me, Swerve is the biggest rising. He's the biggest reason for me to watch AEW every week. Like,
he
I want
came
to
in
see
and
how
shocked the system. They had their guys they were building up, but he came in and he got over. And that's you got to give credit to Hangman Page, because he helped him get there with those fire promos and the back and forth between those two and that match.
Agreed.
That brought him up to the next that brought him up to the level he needed to be at. Because I thought 100%. He was always getting there, but I think Hangman helped him reach that point.
The fact that they didn't do 50-50 booking with Hangman just showed me that, okay, they're finally taking him seriously, because it made all the sense in the world for Swerve to lose that match after he home invaded Hangman, threatened his baby and his family, and he's in a Texas death match against Hangman in his specialty. That's like Undertaker losing a casket match. You just don't expect it. It has happened, but you don't ever expect it. And seeing that with Hangman and just the crazy, like, for me, I would say one of my favorite matches of the year. Like, it was brutal. I'm not always a fan of that gory match, and drinking the blood and everything. It was a little crazy, over the top, but I thought that they had an amazing feud, and the fact that they didn't go 50-50, they gave it to Swerve. I'm now really hopeful that Swerve wins this entire tournament.
Yep.
I was thinking it was going to be a thing for Bryan Danielson. I think the biggest move you can do is put those belts on Swerve, make him everything, and just give him all the belts. Let him have these three, go win some ROH tag belts too, have the Mogul Embassy get some gold or whatever, and just make them all, like, just give them all the gold. And just have him going against there as with all the momentum, have him win that world title, and then he can just drop the other titles.
Swerve,
I mean, look what they've done over the past.
I think,
what I
mean?
Swerve,
he should be their guy for 2024. We'll see, because they said MJF's supposed to be out for 6 months still, right?
I haven't heard that. I did not know if that was the case.
I heard 6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 month injury. So
that
means
so brutal.
They're gonna have to get somebody to plug in that spot. So we'll see how that goes. But moving on from that segment, next up we had Roderick Strong versus Commander. Now, I was never a Roderick Strong fan when he was in NXT, but right now I think he is doing the best work of his career as well. I wish he didn't get rid of the wheelchair. Everybody's saying it was time, though. It was kind of played out, but I hope he keeps the neck brace, though, because I think it's a good. I love the gimmick.
It's awesome, and he's the back.
He's a good wrestler.
Wearing the neck breaker.
Yeah,
he's a fantastic wrestler.
I think,
but every wrestler in AEW is a fantastic wrestler.
Well, I mean, even when he was in WWE, he was great.
Fantastic wrestler.
But the fact that he was kind of like lacking that character and charisma, like, you really just don't care. Like, okay, you can have a good match, but when this ends, then what do you have left? Now,
100%.
He goes in there with a great gimmick, putting his gimmick on, has a great match, comes out and continues that gimmick when Renee Young comes out and interviews him, saying like he's Samoa Joe's best friend by proxy, screaming everybody's name. Yeah. I just love everything he's doing right now.
Samoa
Joe
Adam. Like, I never ever cared about Roddy Strong in NXT or anywhere in AEW. I didn't care that they signed him. I'm like, great. to go with Adam Cole. You've got the Bobby Fish replacement. When Kyle O'Reilly gets healthy, I figured this is where they're going. They've got even more of the guys with Mike Bennett and all them. I couldn't have cared any less. And I did not like the segments at like his house with Adam Cole and that whole comedy nonsense. But the character just grew and grew on me with the annoyance of they're just calling out and everything else. And wouldn't it be so funny?
Yeah, I like the stuff they were doing with him and Adam Cole at his house too. When Adam Cole got in there.
I didn't like those.
A lot of people didn't like it. I listened to a lot of podcasts and they said they didn't, but I liked it. I was like, you know what? Even this, I think, is good from Roderick Strong.
But he grew on me 100%. I'm so a million times more interested in Roddy Strong now than I was ever before, just because he's such a good smarmy heel. You want to see him get his ass kicked, and that's the trademarks of a good heel.
Definitely.
I want to see him get smashed every week.
Brian, were you a fan of?
Awesome.
Brian, were you a fan of Undisputed Era? Like in NXT days? Or were you in NXT back then when they were wrestling?
I knew who they were, but I wasn't. But around that time, I was tuned out.
Okay, I tuned out of NXT. I watched NXT from. I believe I started watching during the Bo Dallas, Sami Zayn days, and I stopped when Undisputed Era came in. So
I watched around that time as well.
I was pretty much exactly the same because AEW started right around that Undisputed Era time, right? And that's when I pretty much cold turkey WWE.
Yeah. All right, so our main event. Oh, no, wait a minute. We had a flashback of Collision before we got to the main event, and we saw Julia Hart had them things out, and then they got into the main event, Jay White versus Jon Moxley. So you were making a good point about the points and where everything was going here, and it looks like what you were speculating about came true, Mr. Dubbs. This is going to end up a three-way for the main event.
I just thought it was so strange that last week, before we got here, they were saying that Jon Moxley's already punched his ticket into that finals match, but it was like Swerve needed to get the win this week to tie him in points, or whoever tied him in points. But I was like, if Jay White beats him, then they're all three of them going to be tied for points, and one has all beaten the other. So I'm like, are they just going to do a three-way then? Because they didn't explain it, and just saying that he's already punched his ticket, I was like, well, why would they announce that before any of these matches happen? Because we don't know if they're all going to have the same points. Because I didn't know if there was a rule or something. Because the whole thing is they said if it results in a tie, it goes to whoever won their match. Like if two people are tied. So that's why I thought it was interesting. They each had, okay, so Jon Moxley lost to Jay White. But Jay White lost to Swerve, and Swerve lost to Moxley. So that's why they have to do the three-way. Because that's how it was supposed to avoid this situation, right? Was the point. So I thought they booked it well. I thought it was a pleasant surprise. I was also very pleasantly surprised to see Jim Ross join commentary tonight.
Yeah, I think they made the announcement before the show came on that he'd be making his return.
They're in Oklahoma, right? They're in his hometown, right?
Yeah, okay. Makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense because I forgot about that part when I was watching just because I don't know how he is for traveling still. I know he's been having a lot of issues, and because of all the pain, because of the skin grafts on his leg and stuff, he has a horrible time flying these days. So getting to hear him, getting him out there, he's my favorite announcer of all time, regardless if you want to argue that he's not the same or what he used to be, whatever else. I still think he's great on commentary.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm getting to be a salty old man myself, so I love having a little bit of that on commentary. You know, having a Jim Ross.
Grumpy Jim Ross.
Red-ass Jim Ross. Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I can't get enough. So seeing him announce the main event, and it always, to me, just like when they had him come out for, I think it was it Taker Roman that they had? It was a Taker main event at WrestleMania that they had Jim Ross come out specifically to call that match. Was it Taker and Roman? I can't remember.
So. I know what you're talking about. I remember who was in the ring at that time.
And they had the Taker wanted him out there for that match or something like that. And it just gives you that main event feel. Just those little things like that. So when you have Jim Ross come out for the main event, it makes it feel more special. And when he makes small, just little nuanced comments that you'd never get this from Excalibur. And I'm not a fan of Excalibur myself.
I'm not
I know
the biggest
some people
fan of
are. But Jim just throwing out the little things saying, Mox reminds me, I love Mox. He reminds me of Mid-South guys like Murdoch, Cowboy, Butch Reed, guys who love to fight and love to win. Just little details like that, just the throwback to like old school wrestling. And this is why this works. This is why this doesn't. I just love little stuff like that we don't get necessarily from a lot of the other commentators. So to me, it was nice to have him out there.
Yeah, so this ended in a 3-way. Who do you think is going to take the win next week, Mr. Dubbs?
Come on, my boy. You already know.
I mean, I thought going into this tournament, I thought 100% it was going to be finals of Bryan Danielson against Jon Moxley, where Jon Moxley was maybe even undefeated going into that, and Bryan Danielson barely scraped by to get in. He's super injured, and he pulls out the big win first against Claudio and then against Moxley. I thought that's how this tournament was going to go down. Because of all the momentum Swerve has, I think you have to give it to Swerve, and you give him the whole thing.
Yeah,
I don't think Bryan Danielson would have a problem with that. I thought it would have been nice for this tournament for him to win, but I think it means more for Swerve to win than anyone else. And you don't. I just think you go with Swerve all the way, man.
I agree.
I'm so behind him. Put that rocket on him. Just do it.
Yeah.
Now's the time.
I think it makes a lot of sense too to have Swerve win. You could add that long-term storytelling type thing, since he took the loss to Bryan Danielson in a random episode of Collision. So you bring that back, and then you can go on ahead and have him win. And he's like, we don't got enough time for all that tonight, but
right, we just hit an hour, we got to wrap.
but I think Swerve taking that match would be huge for his career, and especially like beating Bryan Danielson for essentially what is 3 titles is super cool too.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean,
I think Swerve.
I'm happy with any of them. Oh, sorry, not Jay White. I think Jay White's the worst decision for that side.
I can agree,
I think I'm happy with the match between Moxley and Danielson in the main event. I'm also happy with the match between Swerve and Danielson. I just think it makes more sense. You strike where the iron's hot, even if it wasn't the original plans. You change course and you just put the rocket behind Swerve all the way. Yeah. But if they go Bryan Danielson and Moxley, then please just let Moxley pin Jay White. Just let him leave Swerve out of it. He's out of the ring. Maybe he hits his move. Moxley throws him out of the ring really quickly, steals the pin on Jay White, and gets in the final.
Oh yeah, I think
you could do something like that.
I think Swerve is going to pin Moxley dirty, because we look at what happened in their one-on-one match. Yep. Swerve got his shoulder up, and Moxley pulled his jeans to get the pin. I think he's going to surprise him back this time and kind of do like the point. You remember the Shelton Benjamin thing, like this close this time, but he'll actually get it, of course. But the finals go down at World's End, right?
Yes, sir.
And me and Bryan will be at World's End, so hopefully we get a good match. I want to see Bryan Danielson, and I want to see Swerve Strickland.
That's
and then Swerve gets that win back where he shouldn't have lost randomly to Bryan in that other tournament for the #1 contendership for the TNT title of all things at the time.
Yeah.
Now,
get that win back. I honestly think. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. You could go ahead and finish. I could go after you.
Yeah. So last thoughts, fellas. Let's go ahead and close it out. We're over an hour now.
Yeah.
So what's your final thoughts, Mr. Dubbs, on everything?
Bring me more Swerve. Anything you can give me with Swerve. More promos, more segments. I love the Mogul Embassy. I love Prince Nana is just doing amazing stuff for him. Like, it's just hilarious to watch him.
You know what?
Super serious. Prince Nana is so underrated. Not given enough credit for that presentation.
Really doing a lot for him. Just by the simple
great
thing, like before he went back in the room, Prince Nana said something to him and said, "I forgot to tell you about something. Come back in." Like, just like things like that, little things he's adding, I think it really does help out his character. And then when MJF jacked him up, he said, "Keep your hands off of my property." So kind of shows how he looks at the guys as well. So I think he's doing real good stuff, y'all, and I love to see it. Bryan, you got any final thoughts on AEW Dynamite? Anything else that went down on the show?
Lastly, the only thing that I'm kind of thinking, bro, they got me a little confused because right now there's only 3 matches for the show. And the show is 2 weeks away, and they like to put like 10 matches on the show. So it got me kind of like thinking, like, where are the builds? Obviously, I know that they're not great at building, but like, what are y'all about to do?
All right, y'all.
Like,
thank y'all for tuning in here tonight, because Bryan about to make us go another hour. I'm not going to attack him tonight, y'all.
No, I was just really trying to wonder, bro. Like, yo, where the matches at, bro?
Come on, look at the build. You got Swerve. You got the whole
Continental
Classic. Okay, you got the whole Continental Classic building up to a big final match.
You got the women's.
Then you got
Edge and Christian.
Which women's are you talking about?
I'm talking about Rio and Toni Storm. And then I get Julia Hart, right?
You got Julia Hart doing her thing. You got the Acclaim doing their thing. I don't know what
That
matches are going to
trio
happen.
Who are they even feuding
Nah,
against?
I think they're
Do you
doing a
think?
TV.
House
They're
of
doing a
Black.
TV
Or no.
feud thing.
Oh, okay.
House
okay.
of Black
No,
and
they're
House
doing
of
the
Black
two-
and FTR. I mean, that's another build.
Yeah.
Come on, Brian. I mean, we could throw them at you now. You had Chris Jericho and you had the tag team champion thing that fell apart.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
cooking.
no,
What do you
and
mean?
listen,
What do you mean
I'm
no
not-
builds?
listen.
They cooking.
Okay,
You got
I a
MJF and the
question.
Devil, all of that stuff going
Yeah.
around there. Come on.
Yeah,
No, I'm saying, no, I said for certain.
No, but because these people are going to have to be on the card. If Moxley isn't in the finals against Danielson or whoever on the other side, who is Moxley having a match with?
It's got to be something
And
between him and Jay White, right?
You gotta have a match on the show, and then if Swerve isn't in the finals, then he's got to have a match with somebody.
Yeah.
So there's people, whoever's not in this finals, we're gonna get some sort of story out of it, and they'll have a match
some
with
quick
people.
build to just push it forward.
And you got to think the
Agreed.
blue league will probably be the same thing, like with Andrade having a match with somebody.
All right, we got loaded in the chat hating now, so I'm gonna have to get up out of here, y'all, for they stretch this another hour. But thank y'all for coming through the first episode of Kenny Dynamite right now. I'm glad I got the fellas in here with me. Hopefully, we can get them back in here every week. But schedules are always different. But my schedule does open for this time slot, so whoever I can get in here with me, whether they're off the top or just somebody random, definitely willing to do it. But thank y'all for joining me tonight. I told y'all I had the idea pretty much the last minute, and y'all agreed to come on with me. So
Yeah,
Yes, sir,
I'll
man.
be
You
here
already know.
any Wednesday that I'm not working. I'll be here. So
all right.
So and before we go, man, y'all make sure to go check out Kenny Bomb's video. I actually just got his notification. Y'all make sure to go check that out, man.
Shout out to Brian for the shout out. But yeah, Kenny Bomb, y'all know where to find me on YouTube. Look for Bryan at Just Bryan. Look for Mr.Dubbs at Mr.Dubbs. But yeah, it might have to be like Kenny Dub Dynamite or something. I went Kenny Dynamite, Kenny Bomb, Kenny Dynamite, whatever. But yeah, if Mr.Dubbs can get in here most weeks, then we're going to throw his name in the title as well.
love it.
All right, fellas. Brian doesn't love WWE enough, y'all, to do a WWE post show on Mondays or Fridays. So y'all probably won't be getting that. But we'll see.
Nobody should have to do after Raw.
Yeah, I would
Nobody should have to do
never
after-
try to put
3
that
hours
curse
every
on him.
week.
If anything, I would do it Friday nights.
Yeah,
He's not going to do it, y'all. He's
show,
not gonna do it.
SmackDown.
He suffers through SmackDown every week, but he's not going to do a show. But thank y'all for tuning in. Off the top, Kenny Bomb, Brian, Mr.Dubbs, we are
Yes, sir.
we are going.